Amal Clooney's latest fight for justice has turned into a living nightmare. Her bold stand has drawn chilling threats that could change everything. The fearless lawyer, who's taken on the world's most dangerous regimes, now faces a sinister backlash that's more terrifying than fiction. Let us dive deeper into the horrifying reality Amal is battling. A tale of courage, danger, and a shocking twist you won't see coming. Amal Clooney's battle beyond the courtroom. Ever heard the saying, "No good deed goes unpunished"? Well, Amal Clooney, international human rights lawyer, is living proof of that twisted little nugget of wisdom. You'd think being a badass barrister fighting for justice would win you applause and maybe a key to the city. Nope. In her case, it's winning her a one-way ticket to the danger zone, complete with threats and fear-mongering. Buckle up, because this story is one part jaw-dropping, two parts infuriating, and a sprinkle of what is wrong with people. But here's the twist. What happens next could change everything. Justice, power, and the cost of doing what's right. Let's set the stage here. Amal isn't just Mrs. George Clooney, arm candy to a Hollywood star. She's a world-class human rights lawyer who takes on cases so high-profile, they practically scream danger. She stood up for the likes of Julian Assange, helped nail war criminals, and advised the United Nations. Oh, and she does all this while looking like she just walked off a Vogue cover. Brains, beauty, and guts. A triple threat, if you will. Her resume is intimidating. She's the kind of person who'd make your LinkedIn page cry itself to sleep. Married to George since 2014, the duo has been a picture-perfect power couple. Philanthropy, glamour, adorable twins, the whole 9 yards. But being the real-life Wonder Woman has its downsides, and her recent nightmare proves it. Here's where things take a sharp left turn into Scary Town. Her latest legal case, some high-stakes international drama, has landed her in some very hot water. Reports suggest she's been targeted with serious threats. Not the vague, "you'll regret this" kind of thing, but real calculated intimidation. These aren't your run-of-the-mill hate tweets. We're talking about sinister plots to mess with her life, all because she dared to challenge powerful, untouchable people. Apparently, her fearless legal work on a controversial case, something about going head-to-head with a notorious regime, was the match that lit this dumpster fire. Her insistence on holding the bad guys accountable has made her a target. Imagine risking your neck to make the world a better place, only to have shadowy figures turn you into a villain in their twisted narratives. It's like something out of a thriller movie, except it's her real life. She's no stranger to risks. This is a woman who's taken on warlords and corrupt governments, but that doesn't make the threats any less horrifying. The sad truth? People who fight for justice often find themselves in the crosshairs. Lawyers, journalists, activists, anyone bold enough to speak truth to power end up walking around with a metaphorical target on their back. What Amal is dealing with highlights a much bigger problem. The very systems meant to protect defenders of justice are flimsy at best and non-existent at worst. The message here is grim. If you stand up to powerful bullies, don't expect a hero's welcome. Expect trouble, and lots of it. Let's talk about George Clooney for a second. The guy's got 2 Oscars, a tequila empire, and enough charm to melt glaciers. But when it comes to Amal, he's just a guy trying to keep his wife safe. Sources say George has gone into full-on protection mode, upping their family's security measures and making sure Amal has the tools to keep doing her work without constantly looking over her shoulder. It's not just about locking the doors and closing the blinds. George's respect for Amal's work is unwavering. He's the kind of partner who'll stand beside her, even when the world seems hell-bent on tearing her down. In interviews, he's always quick to gush about her brilliance and bravery. And honestly, we could use more George Clooney's in the world. Even bigwigs from the entertainment and legal worlds are chiming in, urging governments and organizations to step up. The consensus? Enough is enough. It's time to build systems that actually protect human rights defenders, instead of leaving them to fend for themselves when things go south. Let's zoom out for a second. Amal's situation isn't just about her. It's about every lawyer, journalist, and activist putting themselves in harm's way to fight for what's right. It's a stark reminder that the world isn't exactly a safe place for truth-tellers and justice seekers. And until we address the systemic failures that leave them vulnerable, these stories will keep happening. Calls for action are getting louder. Advocates are demanding better international protections, stronger laws, and more accountability for those who threaten human rights defenders. It's a tough fight, but it's one that needs to be fought. There's more at stake than just Amal Clooney's safety. Every day, Countless individuals face threats for standing up against powerful, corrupt systems. Human rights defenders work in the shadows of authoritarian regimes, risking everything to shine a light on injustice. They are lawyers like Amal, investigative journalists who report on crimes, and activists who demand change where silence reigns. Amal's situation reminds us how precarious their safety can be. She's fortunate enough to have resources, connections, and global recognition to amplify her plight. But many others operate without such privileges. For every Amal Clooney in the spotlight, there are countless nameless defenders out there, braving risks with far fewer protections. To genuinely safeguard human rights defenders, we need more than outrage and supportive tweets. What's required is systemic change. Governments must implement stronger laws to protect individuals like Amal, who take on high-stakes cases. International coalitions must establish protocols that offer sanctuary, legal support, and security to defenders targeted for their work. Human rights organizations should seize moments like these to campaign for greater awareness and systemic solutions. This includes outreach efforts to schools, workplaces, and online communities to drive home the message that standing up for justice isn't just brave, it's essential to the fabric of democracy and human dignity. Amal's resilience serves as an inspiration not only to her peers, but to the next generation of advocates. Her determination to continue her work, even in the face of danger, embodies a powerful message. No matter the cost, justice is worth fighting for. Young people looking up to role models like Amal Clooney see the importance of courage and persistence. Institutions, educational organizations, and mentorship programs should channel this inspiration into actionable opportunities, encouraging future lawyers, journalists, and activists to pursue careers in justice creates a pipeline of dedicated professionals ready to take up the mantle. Amal Clooney's work has always been risky, but this time the stakes are higher than ever. A tale of friendship and fame. Let's get this straight. Hollywood friendships don't exactly have a reputation for standing the test of time. All those red carpets, award season snubs, and competitive egos usually mean friends forever. Lasts about as long as a box office flop stays in theaters. But then there's George Clooney and his trusted partner in crime, the golden pair who've somehow managed to keep their bond intact for over 20 years. And yes, they're still riding that wave, even though the rest of Hollywood's friendships have gone the way of Clooney's bachelor lifestyle, outdated and retired. Their little tale of camaraderie kicked off way back in the year 2000 on the set of Ocean's 11. You'd think two huge stars would circle each other like wary cats, but nope, sparks flew. Platonic sparks, that is. According to Clooney, who loves a good soundbite, they hit it off instantly. And just like that, they were off to the races. Not in the romantic sense, relaxed tabloids, but in the let's make millions on screen together while having a blast sense. A win-win, right? From there, they hopped onto the Hollywood conveyor belt of sequels and side projects. Ocean's 12, because when has Hollywood ever resisted cashing in? Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, Money Monster, and more recently, Ticket to Paradise. Every movie featured that patented Clooney and Company banter that's half charm, half eye-roll-worthy sarcasm. Critics called it chemistry. Skeptics might call it showing up for a paycheck with a buddy you tolerate. Either way, the formula worked. Moviegoers lapped it up, and their partnership became something of a brand. If Hollywood's favorite friends was a stock, you'd want to invest. Off-camera, their dynamic is one part mutual support and two parts elaborate prank war. Clooney, famous for being Hollywood's resident joker, met his match in his co-star. She's no saint either when it comes to on-set antics. Together, they've violent methods, co-stars and crew alike, with endless pranks. One has to wonder, does this humor stem from genuine affection or just boredom during endless takes? Whatever it is, it's been good for headlines. And then there's the personal stuff. Clooney spent the early 2000s convincing the world he was a permanent bachelor, only to blindside everyone by marrying Amal Alamuddin, an accomplished human rights lawyer, in 2014. By 2017, he had twins. Roberts herself is no stranger to the spotlight. She's navigated her own roller coaster of fame, family, and film flops. Let's not pretend every movie was a Pretty Woman. But through it all, there's Clooney, ready to gush about her talent, humor, or whatever other compliment will make headlines that day. In return, Roberts is quick to call Clooney her favorite co-star or share a cute anecdote about their friendship. It's almost like they're trying to keep their brand alive. Cynical? Maybe. But Hollywood thrives on nostalgia, and these two have plenty to go around. No Hollywood friendship is complete without a side of public intrigue. Clooney's personal life has always been fodder for gossip rags, so when whispers of trouble in paradise popped up about his marriage, it didn't take long for Roberts' name to get dragged into the narrative. Did she really break her silence about Clooney's rumored issues? Hard to say, but even if she didn't, the gossip machine loves to spin a good tale. Roberts and Clooney's friendship, solid as it might be, isn't immune to Hollywood's favorite pastime, creating drama where there might not be any. Expanding beyond the publicized moments, the longevity of their friendship may rest on something less glamorous than Hollywood likes to admit: workplace camaraderie. For decades, the set of a film has been a second home to actors, and shared hours under hot lights or repeating lines dozens of times often forges connections that might not develop anywhere else. Clooney and Roberts exemplify this phenomenon. In the dozens of interviews and press junkets they've done together, there's a visible ease between them. It's the kind of casual banter that usually doesn't survive in an industry where publicists and egos loom large. Perhaps their friendship is less a miraculous anomaly and more a byproduct of shared career paths. Still, the constant polishing of their Hollywood's best buddies image raises eyebrows. For all the pranks and laughter, there's a very intentional marketing machine at play. Their shared projects have netted hundreds of millions of dollars, and a good chunk of that is owed to the story of their partnership off-screen. Audiences aren't just buying tickets for the film, they're buying into the relationship that's been carefully curated over decades. It's a strategy that's worked well for both of them, and it's part of why their friendship has stayed front and center in the public consciousness. Let's not forget how rare their bond is in a world dominated by fierce competition. Hollywood is notorious for being a dog-eat-dog world, where actors often see each other as threats rather than allies. It's worth questioning whether Roberts and Clooney's friendship has endured partly because they're rarely competing for the same roles. Their careers have taken distinct paths. Roberts as America's sweetheart, and Clooney as Hollywood's debonair everyman. There's little overlap, which might explain why their friendship has remained untainted by professional jealousy. Even with all the goodwill, their friendship isn't entirely immune to public scrutiny. Clooney's foray into family life has often been juxtaposed with Roberts' well-documented challenges in maintaining privacy for her own children. Their vastly different approaches to balancing personal and professional lives have occasionally invited commentary about who's doing it better, an unfair and frankly tired narrative that plays into stereotypes about men and women in Hollywood. But for the most part, they've managed to sidestep the pitfalls that often drag long-term friendships into the mud. Every partnership has a star who stands out, the dual lives of Hollywood's sweetheart. Of course, longevity alone doesn't make a friendship admirable. What sets Clooney and Roberts apart is their willingness to lean into their public personas and laugh at themselves in the process. Whether it's Clooney roasting Roberts during award shows or Roberts sharing behind-the-scenes anecdotes that feel carefully vetted but still funny, they've mastered the art of self-aware celebrity friendship. They're in on the joke, and that's part of what makes their dynamic so appealing to fans. Let's talk about Julia Roberts. You know, the America's sweetheart, whose grin could light up a room, or apparently distract you from thinking too hard about her career choices. Born to actor parents, Betty Lou and Walter Roberts, Julia practically grew up with the smell of theater dust in her nostrils. Her parents ran some artsy little thing called the Atlanta Actors and Writers Workshop, so it's not exactly shocking that she ended up in Hollywood. When you're raised with parents staging monologues in the living room, what else are you gonna do? Sell insurance? Please. Julia's early years weren't exactly glitzy. After trudging through Campbell High School, no scandals there, boring, she briefly dabbled in higher education at Georgia State University. But, shocker, college didn't stick. Instead, she packed up and headed to New York City, chasing her big break. Spoiler, she got it, but not right away. Her acting debut came with a small role in the TV show Crime Story in 1987, where she played a juvenile intimate victim. Then came Satisfaction in 1988, a film no one talks about because, frankly, it's not worth talking about. But hey, everyone's got to start somewhere, right? Fast forward to 1990, and Julia hit the jackpot with Pretty Woman. Suddenly, she wasn't just an actress. She was a phenomenon. People couldn't get enough of her hooker with a heart of gold act. The film was a box office smash, and Julia had officially arrived. Did the script have depth? Not really. Did people care? Absolutely not. From there, her career became a roller coaster of romantic comedies, dramas, and the occasional dud. My Best Friend's Wedding in 1997 and Notting Hill in 1999 solidified her as the go-to for romantic leads. Then came Erin Brockovich in 2000, where she ditched the rom-com fluff and won an Oscar. You'd think that would have marked a new era of serious roles, but no. She wasn't about to give up the paycheck-friendly charm of crowd pleasers. Julia's collaborations with George Clooney began with Ocean's 11 in 2001. Their chemistry was undeniable, mainly because they seemed to genuinely like each other. Hollywood's fake friendships are a dime a dozen, but this one seemed real. They followed it up with Ocean's 12 and a few other projects, including Ticket to Paradise in 2022, where their banter carried the film more than the plot ever could. Rumors about George's personal life eventually brought Julia into the conversation. The internet loves drama, and any comment she made was carefully dissected, analyzed, and memeified, because that's just how we roll in the 21st century. Did she reveal anything groundbreaking? No. But her presence always seems to add fuel to the fire, ensuring that neither she nor George will ever be far from the spotlight. Meanwhile, Julia's personal life is pretty tame. She's been married to cinematographer Daniel Moder since 2002, and they've got 3 kids. She keeps her private life well. Private. For someone who's been in the spotlight for decades, that's an achievement in itself. While she's still working, her recent projects include Leave the World Behind and narrating Lisa Marie Presley's memoir. She's clearly prioritizing family over fame these days. Now about her friendship with Clooney. These two have managed to stay close despite Hollywood's notorious knack for chewing up relationships and spitting them out. They've pulled pranks, praised each other in interviews, and generally behaved like two people who genuinely enjoy each other's company. It's refreshing, sure, but also a little nauseating in that, oh look, they're just like us kind of way. Except they're not. They're absurdly rich, absurdly famous, and can probably order room service in their sleep. Julia's career, much like her public persona, is a mix of charm, talent, and calculated choices. She's not the risk-taker who'll star in some indie film for the sake of art. She's a brand, and she knows it. And hey, it's worked for her. But don't let the dazzling smile fool you. Behind the glitz and glam, Julia's as savvy as they come, navigating Hollywood's murky waters like a pro. Julia's rise to fame wasn't handed to her on a silver platter, even if her parents' artistic inclinations nudged her in that direction. She's always known how to play the long game, whether that meant starring in crowd pleasers or carefully avoiding scandals that could have derailed her career. Her charm lies in her relatability. Even when it's carefully manufactured, she knows the power of a smile, a laugh, and just the right amount of mystery to keep people intrigued. So, what do you think? Has Julia mastered the art of staying relevant, or is she just playing it safe? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like, and subscribe.